What experience are you trying to create? And how can we deliver you fonts, colors, logos, assets, photography, etc., that communicate that mirror the kind of experience that you're trying to let people have?
Exactly. Because those were some of the questions that you were asking me during the branding. And I struggled because I was like, why is she asking me these questions?
But it's useful.
Together, I completely get it now.
Greetings and welcome back to the Kiss My Aesthetic podcast. I'm really excited for you guys to meet Kendall, founder of Lilypar. Welcome to the podcast, Kendall.
Thank you, Michelle. How are you doing today?
Oh, we are so good. It is Friday. We usually record on Fridays, and I'm telling you, this week have been waiting for it to be Friday. It's one of those, you know what I mean? But we're happy to be here, happy to be chatting with you. If you've seen on social media, we have started to share a little bit about Lilypar, or shared at least a little bit behind the scenes. It's a project we've been working on for a while. But for anyone who doesn't know you, tell us who you are, what you do, and how you've started on this whole journey.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, my name is Kendall Kinsman. I'm from here in San Diego, where I'll be opening up an elevated women's activewear boutique called Lilypar. We're going to be focusing on carrying golf, tennis, and pickleball apparel. And, it all started really when I was a teenager, to be honest. I quit golf because I thought the clothes were ugly. It sounds, it's a typical high school thing for a girl to do, right? You've got a closet full of clothes and you always have nothing to wear. And so this kind of follows suit. The clothing was, very boxy. It had no form, and I just didn't like it. So I quit playing golf. I picked up golf again in my 20s and fell in love with the sport again, and still just didn't really like the clothes that much, but kind of put that to the side and kept playing. Fast forward, I, have discovered like how much the activewear industry has grown and how many new brands are out there promoting, functionality and fashion can go hand in hand together. And so I just wanted to bring all of those brands together in a place for women to shop.
Love all of that. And it's been so fun working on this project. I've gotten to know you through golf, which has been really fun. Shout out to Catherine who connected us. But where do you feel like, so you're picking up golf again in your 20s. This was something that you play golf with your family, right? Like that was kind of your background?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, nice. So you're playing golf more, you're in your 20s, you were working, what was your job background, career background? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I started off, I went to college in Dallas, Texas at Southern Methodist University. I studied finance, and right out of school, I started working. I did a formal credit training program. I did that for about a year, and then I moved into a commercial real estate division that the company had. Did that for about 7, and then moved into financial planning and analysis. And, all of it gave me a really strong foundation in finance and budgeting and forecasting. At the end of the day, though, I just didn't love sitting behind a computer screen. And so I wanted to find a way to kind of marry two things that I truly enjoyed. And that was playing golf with my friends and family and fashion.
Fashion. Yes, definitely. And I think we saw a huge uptick with both of those things during like COVID years, right? Of like people getting into golf. Like that's when it kind of piqued my interest of like, I don't know that I would have picked it up otherwise. But it's kind of like, okay, this could be something I'm interested in. There's also something crazy about it being kind of like, I love being like a disruptor in like a boys club situation. Did you feel like that's shifted since your 20s to now, of like just women in sports in general, women in golf, women in tennis, all of these different sports places?
I would say in my 20s, I got back into golf, which is probably a very similar story to a lot of women. I was dating someone that was golfing, and it's kind of how I started picking it back up again. I had always played, one round a year with my family still, but it became more of a regular occurrence, got myself a new set of clubs. And I would always go out and play with him when, would get paired with either another couple or with 2 other guys. I never recall seeing a group of women, of course, not just like one group of women, like a few here and there, but always with other men. Now I go out on the golf course and there's multiple groups of women playing. You can definitely see that women are kind of, I would not say taking over the sport, but they are making themselves seen. That's for sure.
Yeah, which is super exciting. And then also mirror that with the growth of like the athleisure and athletic wear. Like we're in San Diego and the joke is like you can pretty much go anywhere in workout clothes.
Yeah.
And I think too, like the kind of workout clothes that someone wears says a lot about them. You can like really make, you know what I mean? Like you've got your Lululemons versus your Vuori versus Athleta. Like you've got kind of your different cults, so to speak, in activewear. What do you feel like you've noticed again as that shift from like the old golf clothes into kind of this newer era of golf clothing or even just like activewear?
I'm seeing, a lot of the clothing is more feminine. They're paying attention to patterns. They're paying attention to honestly what's going down the runway. And,
Mm-hmm.
our floral's really big, our check's really big on the runway. And then you're kind of seeing designners portray that in the activewear as well. And,
Mm-hmm.
like Pantone's color of the year, like, and then you see
Mm-hmm.
it all throughout the golf wear too.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. To
And
me, it's
also,
exciting.
yeah, it's super exciting. And it's because I think these are the kind of clothes that people, this is like their everyday wardrobe and everywhere wardrobe. Where I think before, like, I even think to like when my mom used to like take us to the gym as kids, like she would put us all in childcare and then she'd go and be in the dressing room for an hour and a half to like change afterwards. Like you wouldn't wear your workout clothes to
Yeah.
Target or the grocery store or wherever. And like now I do laundry. I don't think I have like a single item of clothing that's not workout clothes
Yeah.
that goes in the laundry. Like I can go months without wearing a
Yeah.
real dress or real pants with a zipper. What are some of the standout brands that you've noticed in this process that you're like, gosh, I would love to be in a place where I could just like know what they were making all the time?
I would say probably that's a hard one
Okay.
for me. But there's a company called Smith and Quinn. They make
Okay.
athletic wear, but they also do regular streetwear. And so
Cool.
what's cool about them is that they'll have some of the same patterns for their tennis dress that they have for a regular dress that you could wear. It's just
Nice.
like cut differently. And
Nice.
so that's one that I'm like, I like how they're doing that. So that their tennis dress, like a lot of their clothes in the active wear are so easily transitioned. And like that's
Mm-hmm.
what I'm looking for. The clothes that you can wear on the course and on the court. And then you can just go run errands, meet up with friends, have fun. And, you just kind of seamlessly blend in. You're not always just screaming, I'm wearing my workout clothes.
Sure. It just reminds me of like the late 90s, early 2000s. Like there's all these memes on the internet that's like growing up, I was always so prepared for quicksand and like quicksand is like not an issue. But I think the other one is like I was always so prepared for having a dress that went from day to night.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, can you picture that like Cosmo magazine, the like side by side People magazine of like this dress goes from day to night. And now it's like people want that lifestyle opportunity of like, this is something I can wear to do the sport that I love and be active and be healthy in my body and then go do other things. But at what point in your kind of journey, you're doing the finance job, you're picking up golf again. At what point are you like, this is, I think, a business that I'd like to have for myself?
Honestly, I decided I was actually in Texas for 18 years and I
Mm,
decided to move back to California to be closer to family. And in that process, I was still working for my company in Texas for a little bit because of COVID. Everyone was working remote anyway. And then after some time, I realized, I'm not loving this. I'm the only person that can change my day-to-day
mm,
life.
yeah,
I
true.
loved the people I worked with. They were fantastic. And I used to say, you can't have both. In
Right.
my mind, I used to think you either love what you do on a daily basis or you love the people you work with. As I
Mm,
can't be greedy. As long as you have
mm,
one, you're in a good position. And I think for the most part in life, that can be kind of true. I mean, you can't always pick who you work with. But at the same time, I realized, well, if I'm not happy, like, why can't I change it? I'm moving. It's the perfect opportunity to make something different happen. And so I actually chose to take about a year off from working when I moved back so I could really decide what it is that I wanted to do. And this was an idea, but I truly didn't have the courage to do it.
mm-hmm.
So I went and I worked in an office job doing commercial real estate for only about 3 months.
Okay.
And I apologized to them. I said, you know what? I'm sorry, but this just isn't for me.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
what I realized is that when I went back to that environment, there's nothing wrong with it,
Right.
great people, but it wasn't for me. I realized I had to do something different. And so that's when I was like, you know what? This is your chance. This is your opportunity. I found the courage and I decided to pursue creating Lily Parr.
Amazing. Okay. So now you're like, okay, I have this idea. I'm going to go for it. I'm not going to work this corporate job anymore. How do you start mapping out even your first steps? Because those can be the most intimidating and the most scary. Once you have kind of the momentum, at least I've seen this with clients we've worked with, it's like once you have the inertia to get going, it feels a little bit easier. But that first, okay, I'm doing this and I'm going to put money behind this. What did that feel like? Or how did you know how to map that out?
honestly wasn't that sure. I was
I love it.
I
You're
was
like, we're
didn't
just going to
really
do
know
this
where
thing.
to start.
Yeah.
The first thing I did was create an LLC. Actually, no,
Mm-hmm.
the first thing I did was actually send out a survey monkey to friends and family that had a bunch of different names listed. Like first I
Nice.
pick out a name, and then
Yep.
I created an LLC, and wasn't even sure if I did that correctly. But I'm really fortunate. My father's in private equity. My cousin is an attorney. My other
Nice.
cousin owns a chain of soccer stores. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was able to lean on them for insight into, a retail industry, the legal side of it. Am I doing this correctly? And then with my dad being in private equity, also leaning on him on, am I thinking about this correctly? Like,
Right.
do I have the funds? Do I have this?
Right.
What do I have
Right.
to do? And so for me, I have to thank my family, like
Yeah. I
wholeheartedly.
mean,
And
talk about like Avengers Assemble. That's like kind of the hit list, right? It's like the business brains, the legal brains, the retail brains.
yeah,
I mean, perfect storm.
it really was. And so it was with their help that I was able to kind of bring everything together. But to be honest, I'm still learning. I'm
Yeah.
still do things wrong. And as you know, with doing the branding, I did it myself first because, I think I can do it. And that's, I
Yeah.
think I can do everything.
No, but you said
So,
this is such a good example, right? I think that is entrepreneurship though. Like you have to try it and realize like, wait a second, maybe someone can do this better than I can. We'll
yeah, like
figure it
I
out.
have to like test out my skill set. Like, what is my skill set?
Totally.
Can I do this?
Totally.
Maybe I can. Turns out I could.
Totally. No, let's talk about that. So you've got the name from the Survey Monkey, you've got your dream team that's helping you like advise the whole thing. Obviously, you have a finance background to like budget and spreadsheet this till the cows come home. And then it comes to creative. And you had told me on one of our first conversations, you're like, this is just not my area. Like
Yeah,
you're like, I have this logo. And I think I kind of remember what I had told you, but do you remember what my feedback was when we kind of had looked at it together?
not exactly.
I was like, it's a start. I think I was like, I think I see what you're going for because I did. Like, I think you had the idea of it. I think the name itself is already, conjuring up a lot of directions that you could go with it. But where did you along the line were you like, okay, the branding stuff, I know I need to like lock that down from the get go, and like I know that what I have isn't really going to work. Like, what was the tipping point in
Um,
that decision?
I think when I first did it, I was actually proud of myself because
Honestly, yeah,
I figured out how to use Canva.
totally, totally.
But I think the biggest thing, I just didn't feel sophisticated to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I wanted it to be.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted it to be feminine. I wanted it to be playful, but I wanted it also to be, sophisticated. And
Sophisticated.
it was missing that.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think when I first spoke to you, I said, like, oh, I don't want flowers in it. And it was because I tried adding in flowers and
Yep.
for the lily, and it just didn't look right to me. But then when you came up with the flower that you did for for the logo, I was like, I love that. Like,
Yeah, yeah. But to the Survey Monkey and naming it Lily Par,
Mhm.
how did that name? What's the origin story of that
Oh,
name?
actually, it's not the name that won.
Oh,
The name
okay.
that came in second. It's the name that came in
Okay.
third place. Uh,
Wow.
the first name that I came up with, I ended up doing a trademark search,
Mm,
and there was a golf tournament that had the same name.
sad.
And so, if I ever decided to sponsor a golf tournament, I could run into some legal issues. So
Hmm.
I decided, okay, let's nix that one. And then the second choice one was similar to name to another business in San Diego, and someone
Mm,
mentioned it to me, and I hadn't heard of it. So I said, okay. Neither had anything to do with each other, but
right.
I was like, okay. And then with the Lily, that was kind of the third place name, but it was the one that actually at the end of the day had more meaning to it when I came up with
Okay.
it than any of the other names.
Tell us about the meaning.
So Lily, it's for Lily of the Valley, which is my birth month flower for the month of May. And one of the meanings behind Lily of the Valley is return to happiness. And so
Ooh, love it.
for me, this is kind of my way to return to happiness in my career, to find something that I love, that I'm passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Mm-hmm.
par is just simply a golf term, and I like the way it sounded.
Yeah, it has that good. We call it in high school. We used to call it a first elasty.
Okay.
Like when someone has a first name, last name, like I always say Catherine Lemandry. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just that's her whole name. It's never. I almost never just call her Catherine because my sister's name is Catherine, so it has to be. That's a first elasty. So you got to like do it all together. But Lily Parr, it does. It has that like soft but punchy kind of sound. And again, it gives you that vision pretty clear from the get-go. So and then in the discovery process, when we talked about this, we'd said like, okay, let's definitely incorporate some kind of floral and make it feminine. But
Mhm.
you had also brought up one of your favorite hotels that you remember golfing at as a kid as being like a major visual inspiration for you. What sticks out about that place that felt like Lily Parr energy?
Yeah, so the hotel we used to go to when I was little was called the Greenbrier in White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia, and they're known for their floral print. Was it Dorothy Draper, who was their interior designer? You know, she had a lot of the greens, the pinks, and just florals and just mixing patterns. I mean, it was a really unique property. I forget which large hotel chain has since purchased it,
Mm,
it's either Hilton or Marriott, I'm not really sure.
hmm
But we haven't been in years, but it's where we grew up going as a family. And it just had such great special memories that those colors, the green and the pink, inspired me with the colors that I decided to choose. And when we were going through the colors, we ended up switching from pink peach because we
hmm
liked how it looked better,
hmm
but
hmm
still kind of followed that path.
And I had never seen that property before, but what stuck out to me was like it was way more bold than
Mhm.
I was thinking that you were wanting to go with the branding, which I think is a fun direction for it because when we're considering like where Lily Parr falls in the market of San Diego, it is kind of a category of one, right? Like there isn't something that caters specifically to this demographic in the way that you want to. So who are kind of the other avenues that you're looking at? Like what's the option if Lily Parr doesn't exist? Where else are people in San Diego like going for these kind of golf
Yeah,
clothes?
exactly. You'd have to be a member of a private club or go to
hmm
like a pro shop at, a public course or a lot of tennis, like the Barnes Tennis Center in Point Loma. Like they
Yeah.
have like a little shop in there where you can buy some stuff. But for the most part, like the private clubs are going to probably have some of the best selections, but a lot of people don't have access to that. So then you're going to bigger box stores that have
hmm
multiple locations across. And, there's nothing some of them have great selection, so that's not what I'm
hmm
saying, but it doesn't
hmm
feel special,
hmm
and I like going into a boutique, I like that feel. I'm a big fan of in-person shopping, and so in San
hmm
Diego, you're either have an impersonal shopping experience or you're shopping online, and
hmm
I like shopping in person, I like to feel quality, I like to see stitching, I like to see how it fits because I hate doing returns,
hmm
so
Yeah, making it more of an experience. And I think that you communicated that really clearly as part of the vision in the discovery process of the branding, right? It's like it's not only going to be a boutique to like discover cool activewear brands, but there's another element that you wanted to add to it, which is very exciting that I think does elevate it to more of that like experience destination. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to be putting in a Foresight golf simulator into this space, and
Nice.
people will be able to rent it out. And then also, if you spend a certain amount, we're still ironing out all the details for that. You can also get some free time on the simulator as well. And so, it's a way for people to gather with their friends while they're, waiting for their turn. They can do a little bit of shopping, or even while someone's shopping, if their friend wants to play, go ahead. We want to be able to host, groups of people for shopping events, but not just have it just shopping, to have contests and stuff. So we have giveaways. We can do closest to the pin, we can do longest drive, stuff like that.
Right.
And so it becomes more interactive.
Yeah.
We also, on our website, I'm going to be having a community tab on there, and so I want people in the community to reach out and let me know if they have a women's golf group, a women's tennis group that people can join. If there are pickup games at Bobby Riggs or at the Barnes Tennis Center, let me know, and I will put it up there so that people have like basically a bulletin board of places
Right.
they can go
Right.
and meet up with people who have similar interests.
Yeah, and I think those kind of community group effort sports things are what everyone is craving also.
Yeah.
Like I think there's just such a lack of them for so long and that there's something really nice especially about a bunch of women getting together and playing sports that you just make so many cool connections like shout out Babes Golf for
Yeah,
connecting so many of us, right?
exactly.
What do you think are kind of some of those barriers to entry for someone who's not in those spaces yet? Because I think what you're doing that's interesting with Lily Part is like you're attracting the person that has been a lifelong sports player that like wants just a one-stop shop to go get the best of the best. But I've got to imagine because of not only your location, but also the branding, is that there's a chance to really attract someone who's never even tried these
Yeah.
sports. Tell me a little bit more about what the vision might be or what some of the ways that you think Lily Parr might serve that audience that's like totally new to the idea of
Well,
joining in on these.
I think, starting to play a new sport, especially as you get older, it's harder. It's more intimidating. At least for
Yeah.
me, it is. going to the driving range and looking at a place, drives me crazy. And so it's like, if we can, I truly believe that when you look your best, you feel your best. And it's one of our lines. You look your best, you feel your best, you play your best. And so it kind of goes hand in hand with someone just starting out. It's kind of, if you look the part, they always say, dress for the job you want.
True.
And that's kind of this way this store is. I mean, we're going to help outfit you so that you feel like you belong, because you do belong. Everyone belongs. Everyone deserves a chance to start. And that's like what we want to help people, is like have that community tab so they know where they can go meet up with people of all different skill levels. Like the beginners, we meet on Tuesdays.
Yeah, perfect.
We're just social players. So if you're just starting out, join us. We're not ultra competitive. So it's less pressure to not be the best.
Right. I feel like also you're going to get a good amount of guys that come through the store that are shopping for their wives or girlfriends or moms or sisters. How has like that either changed or morphed or been in consideration of either the branding or the way that you're building up the space now? Because you have a space and I know you're deep in the process with that. So talk to us a little bit more about the vision for the actual like brick and mortar location.
Well, the brick and mortar location with construction, hopefully will start very soon. So it's getting permits pulled and everything. It's just a process, right? And you just kind of have to roll with it and be patient. But for the build out of the store, it's going to have a little bit of an industrial vibe to it, but still have those feminine touches. And we're going to be having, all the women's clothing, but because I know men will be coming in as well, I will also be carrying men's polos, and they actually will be matching patterns with some of the women's polos that we have.
Nice.
Because I know a lot of couples like to match, our families. And so we want to have all that in there. And then all the headwear will also be unisex.
Cool.
So
again, you're elevating the shopping experience of like, aside from just going to like a Vori or a Lululemon or whatever, where it's all active, everything, like it's specialty, but it's feminine. It's interactive with the simulator. You've got more of like that concierge touch it, feel it, see it. You're going to be carrying some cool brands. It sounds all super duper exciting. I know, like you said, you're kind of in the thick of it with the construction stuff, but what other kind of lessons or surprises or things that, like you said, you love to try it first and then be like, okay, maybe I do need help. What are the things that you're like dipping your toe as an entrepreneur into these different ponds that you've either learned a lot about or been like, whoa, this is too much for me?
Well, branding was number one, and then also was social. But I kind of knew I wasn't going to be great at social media.
Okay.
Because you had asked me, even when it came to branding, a lot of questions like, who do you follow? What brands do you follow? I don't follow brands. I follow my friends. I want to see pictures of their puppies and their babies.
Yeah.
And I people always share, business profiles with me, but they now are sharing the Instagram link. And I never thought anything of it, in all honesty. It just didn't occur to me that people were doing that and was becoming more common until like you had brought it up to me. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Like I always share the website.
Yeah, I think that it's shifted because I think what happened is like when Instagram was new on the scene, it was that you'd go on someone's like Instagram, but then you click through to their website to make sure that they were legit.
Yeah.
But now I find that the inverse is true. Like I'll go to someone's website and then I'm going to their Instagram to see like, are they posting? Who's tagging them? How often are they posting? What kind of stuff how many followers do they have? Like, and kind of checking that. I think what it does is like the platform itself of Instagram is consistent versus like you go to someone's website and like all the websites look completely different from each other. And sometimes it's hard to get the sense of the company sometimes from their website, which is crazy. Whereas like on Instagram, because I know where the buttons are, I know where the features are, I know where the highlights are, like I can get to the information that I want quicker.
Yeah.
And especially with a brand like yours that is going to be very community based and very shareable and relatable, but like chic and elevated and a destination, right? Like we talked about this in the branding process of like, how do we brand this as a place that you'd go out of your way to go to?
Yeah.
Like that you'd say, oh my gosh, I found this place. I'm gonna stop through La Jolla now specifically for this place. Because I think that's the kind of customer that you're trying to attract. Would you agree?
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, but then the other things that I tried that I learned that I'm not good at, one was creating a website. I was on Shopify and, they have themes that you can buy that are great and you can change like the font color. But I wanted it to be a little bit more specialized. And I tried my best. And, once again, like same with my logo. I just kind of giggled because it's like, yeah, this isn't going to fly. I think first impressions are really important. And
Yeah.
I know a lot of people say fake it till you make it, but
Yeah.
for me, slow and steady is going to win this race.
Mhm.
And I'd rather do things right the first time than have to worry about trying to rebrand, reprint bags, redo all
Yeah.
the marketing efforts when I update all that. And so same thing goes with the website. People go to my website and the functionality is terrible. They're not going to want to go back on again. And
Sure.
so I want to
Sure.
make sure all that's clean and presentable from the get-go when it's launched.
Yeah. And then you start to realize, I think the more you get into business, you start to realize, oh, there's people that actually love doing what I hate doing.
Mhm.
Like the way you probably feel about social media is how I feel about bookkeeping.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, poke my eye out with a sharp stick. I like this is terrible to like, I don't even know what I'm looking at. And it's such a source of anxiety. And like, for me, I'm coming off of a whole week of having budgeting meetings with my team. And I'm just like, I don't, it's like throwing me into the operating room with like all of the scalpels. And I'm like, I don't even know what we're fixing today. Like,
Yeah.
that's how I feel. So it's crazy because I think there's this illusion, and maybe you can agree or disagree. I've been at it for a while, so maybe my illusion is a little worn off, but there's an illusion of entrepreneurship being just so easy for everybody.
Yeah.
Did you feel like you fell victim? Victim is a weird word, but do you feel like you kind of maybe got sucked into that and you're like, now you're in it, you're like, holy shit? Or do you feel like you had more of a realistic approach getting into all of this stuff?
Kind of both in a way. So I know a
Okay.
lot of entrepreneurs since moving out to San Diego. A lot of
Yeah.
the people I've become friends with have started their own thing, do their own thing, and I've heard their story. So I had an idea, but I think what it was is I didn't fully appreciate how many hats I would actually be wearing.
True.
And you work 80-hour work weeks and you're like, I'm tired of this. I want to go do my own thing. And it's like, now you're working 90s.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But there's a difference in doing it for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's a different type of drive.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what motivates me. And having that passion behind what you're doing on a daily basis gives me the energy and the excitement to keep going. I'm learning that I can't wear every hat because there's just not enough hours in the day to do
Mm-hmm.
that. But I still like to try out everything first because I think it gives me a greater appreciation than for the people that I engage. It also
Totally.
gives me the ability to sometimes have more informed conversations with them because
Absolutely.
I've done my research. I knew what was really hard for me. And so I bring it up in conversation and they kind of laugh and like, that's like the easiest.
Yeah. They're like, that's step one.
But
I mean, you have to tell the story about trying to get your mom to help you take product photography.
oh yeah. So that was the other thing I thought I could do. I thought I
Uh-huh.
could be a photographer or
Uh-huh.
me. I thought I could direct my mother to taking photos and I could just, model the clothes and
Mm-hmm.
easy. It was,
Nope.
why are you thinking more that way? You're giving me 5 chins. Nobody
Yeah.
wants to buy a clothing.
Uh-huh.
I'm holding it just fine. And it was like, it was so
Uh-huh.
cool. But she tried, and I really do appreciate, the help my family's given me.
Of course.
It's
So
comical
funny.
at
No,
times.
it's honestly, I told you too, because we're going to be helping you with the social media stuff. Is like, honestly, send those pictures over because it's such
Yeah.
a glow up to go from that to where we know you're going to end up, which is like with beautiful photos and planned photo shoots and themes and everything and new drops. Like, we know that that's the trajectory that you're on. So it is sometimes fun to just like I've kept some of the design pieces I did when I was in college. Like, granted, I deleted a lot of them. Like, I like get them out of my site. I never want to look at this again. But sometimes like old stuff will pop up and I'll be like, oh, back when you didn't know anything. Like,
Yeah.
so cute. Like, you just kind of like look back at it with some like empathy for yourself in a way.
Oh yeah, no, I did the branding photo shoot yesterday, and for that, I had my makeup done, and I was talking to the makeup artist, and I tell her that I used to really fear getting my makeup done as an adult because I look back on all those photos from prom and formal, thinking I looked so pretty, and I'm like, what was like?
What was I
That was some interesting
doing?
makeup choices that I encouraged the lady to use on me when I wish she would have just told me, "Is honey, that's not your color."
Right,
They
right.
whatever I asked, and it's
Yeah,
kind of the same thing. It's like you look back at that and you're like, "What was I thinking?"
yeah.
Time,
Totally.
you think
Well,
it's
it sounds like
beautiful.
now you're really also kind of stepping into your own with this new vision, right? So, like, you have the vision, we've got the branding, you're feeling confident about the branding, you've got the space, we're feeling good about the space. You said that you don't love being the center of attention, you don't love being kind of the topic. Do you feel like this is pushing you in a healthy way to do the things that you're uncomfortable with?
Yeah, I do. Like even today,
Yeah.
there was
Yeah.
talking to you.
Yeah.
I think when we first spoke, I didn't really think the brand of Lily Parr was important. It was,
Mm,
I thought the brands I chose to carry were more important. That
right.
I didn't think that I had to create my own brand for the store. And, after talking to you, I realized, how important branding truly is. And it's not just about a logo. It's about so much more
Right.
than that. And that's what I wasn't grasping. My finance
Right.
was not grasping that creative side of branding. And yeah.
It's just, well, it's hard to notice if you don't know what you're looking for. It's hard to notice, right? If you don't know why you like a brand, but you know that you like and you're not in that world, it's hard to connect those things, right? Like if you talk to someone like, do you prefer Target or Walmart? Like, okay, we're Target girls. Like, okay, why do we like Target? Because there's a Starbucks there and I can get a pumpkin spice latte and I can push it in my cart while I look at all the dollar section and all the stuff that I didn't know that I needed that now is all in my cart. And by the time I've left, I've spent $250.
Yep.
It's like there's something about the consistency of that experience that drives you to be like, I want that. And now I can like call my sister on a Saturday afternoon where I'm not doing anything. And I was like, I think I'm going to get like a pumpkin cream cold brew and go to Target. She's like, oh, that sounds so good right now. Like, you know what I mean? But it's not about the stuff that's at Target. It's about the experience of being
And it's
that
not
like collective. Yeah.
you wouldn't choose Walmart over Target because of their logo.
No,
It,
definitely not. Definitely not.
I mean,
But
it's
then,
your attention if you're looking at an ad, it will
mhm.
need your interest, but you go back for the experience.
And it's that you're starting to associate the brand with the experience. And I think that's a lot about what we talk about with branding is like, what experience are you trying to create? And how can we deliver you fonts, colors, logos, assets, photography,
Well, yeah,
etc., that communicate that mirror the kind of experience that you're trying to let people have.
exactly. Because those were some of the questions that you were asking me during the
Mm-hmm.
branding.
Mm-hmm.
And I struggled because I was like, why is she asking me these questions?
Uh-huh. But
When
it's
we put all the
useful.
puzzle together, I completely get it now.
It's useful. It's useful. And sometimes you're having a Walmart kind of day and you're going to go in your like pajama pants and nobody's going to look at you sideways. But like if you're going to Target, like it's a different experience. It's a different universe. And then there's like this, I think the other way that this is a great example is like the Target girls like see each other, right? Like if you say I'm going to Target, like there's just like a whole culture that exists around that brand, especially for women in our age group, right? Like that is like it's so hard to bottle up what that is, but that's branding, right? Like that's the whole bit of branding is like creating this visual that then represents the experience that you're going to have, the way that you're going to feel doing something, buying something, being somewhere. It's like the most fun thing. It's like obviously my nerd topic. I could talk about it for forever, you know?
Oh, definitely.
Good stuff. Okay, so you're in this, by the time we're recording this is end of September, beginning October. We're just about to like ramp up to do all the social. What are the next like 6 and 12 months looking like for you? Best case scenario.
Best case scenario, we open up mid-November.
Love.
Our grand
Mhm.
opening. We have a fantastic holiday season. And let's see, January, I would be off to the annual PGA show in Orlando, Florida to check
Mm.
out all of the new, the fall collections for 2025. And then, just keep trucking along. Honestly, like I'm excited to open the doors, build a team here in San Diego that will be working and to help everybody that comes through the door and also help people online with their purchases. But yeah, it's exciting. It's a lot. It's interesting because the golf industry, a lot of companies have what they refer to as their core collections, the
Mhm.
blacks, the whites, the navies that you can order at any time.
Mhm.
But for most of them, they follow, you have to place your spring and summer 2025 orders by the end of September of 2024. And same thing goes for the fall. You have to order it by the end of just January. And so you are ordering at least 6 months in advance, hoping that you're ordering the right amount. And for me,
Mhm.
I'm not 100% sure who my clientele is going to be yet. What are going to be the most popular sizes?
Right.
So the first year is really a trial and error,
Yeah. Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Hopefully it will be successful in what I pick out, but also it's trying to get a feel for what are the women here in San Diego looking for and what are the women that come through our door. And, I hope that people who are visiting San Diego come through our door and then become lifelong customers. I hope they
Mhm.
continue to shop with us online when they go home to their respective cities.
Mhm.
And so it's trying to figure out what is it that the women are looking for, what do they want, and how close to fashion trends they truly want to be, and the balance then of the core collection.
Mhm. Mhm. It's going to be a really exciting year for sure. I feel like you're going to learn so much so fast as well, like going to the shows. And I know you've been to some of the shows before, or at least interfaced with some of the brands that you're looking to carry. But I think that's why, investing in the branding from the get-go and being the type of brand that can attract that like up and comer kind of retailer is going to be like to your advantage, right? Like having the site looking great, having the social looking great, the business cards, the tags, like everything you just talked about, like that helps you be a more serious player, even though you haven't been around that long, right?
Exactly. Because I mean, at the end of the day, that's what I think the brand does is
Yeah.
that it lets people know that you're serious. The
Yeah.
social media, you have a presence.
Mm-hmm.
The website with the functionality of it, the user interface. I mean, you need to prove to people that you're a serious contender and like you're here to play and you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And that's how I'm going to attract the brands that I want to carry. Because some of the brands
Totally.
are, they're selective. They only
Mm-hmm.
order so much merchandise. And so they're selective about who they give it to. And, I had one brand tell me that, you know what, we're really interested, but once you're open, let us know. And we're going to come look at the space. We
Wow.
want to
Yeah.
make sure that I'm the right fit for them, that
Mm.
my store gives off the right vibe. And they're like, from looking at the branding and from what I've described to them of how it will be even decorated, they're like,
Yeah.
it feels like it's perfect for us, but we still like to make sure. So their stuff will not be in store for my grand opening. And that's
Mm.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way some of it works with some of the brands. And, that makes it a little bit more special though, too.
Agree, because then you're getting that exclusivity, because then if you are 100% fit and you are carrying their stuff in your store, you can say, hey, we're the only one in Southern California that carries so and so.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you've been getting their targeted ads on Instagram for 6 months, and now you can actually come try it on in our store. That would totally get me. Like if I was creeping on a new brand, up and coming brand, being like, oh, well, I'll just stop in, take a look.
Well, yeah, no, it was wild. So when I went to the PJ Golf Show
Mm-hmm.
in January of 2024 for the
Mm-hmm.
first time. And, I went around just meeting people, checking out collections, letting people know, can't place an order now, not quite sure exactly when we're going to open our doors. The space we're going into is a brand new building. And so they had to wait to finish construction, get their certificate of occupancy before,
Mm-hmm.
we could start anything. And so it's like, they have a deadline, but it's new construction.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Mm-hmm.
very loose deadline.
Mm-hmm.
Everything kind of gets pushed. And everyone was very understanding and very friendly and like wanted to introduce their brands to us. But what got me was when I went onto the website and I filtered, women's clothing brands and accessories. There was over 150 between clothing and accessories. And I had no idea there were that many out there. If you would have asked me, I said
Yeah.
20.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I couldn't even see everybody that I wanted to see in the amount of days that we were there. And I was trying to keep meetings short, polite, but short and concise.
Right. Right.
And so that's like what made me really excited is that I went into this having this whole idea with Lily Parr. We're making this, it's happening. But I got even more excited when I realized how many are truly out there. And I found a lot of great brands that are incredibly popular in the South or on the East
Mm-hmm.
Coast. And I mean, they're represented in a ton of boutiques and all the golf shops. I mean, they gave me a list and I mean, they
Right.
are popular. But I asked you, are you anywhere in California? And they said, no.
Wild. Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a
there's
good
a spot.
proof of concept
Yeah.
opportunity, right? Like if there's a demand, that means that there's people that want what you got, which is very exciting. If you could give yourself a piece of advice from you now to you this time last year before you'd started in on all this, really, what do you wish you would have known or you wish someone would have told you before you got going?
Probably ask for help sooner.
Okay. Expand on that.
But also, this is something I've been criticized for this my entire career. I've always tried to do things myself first, like finance job, building that Excel model. I was going to try to do it myself first, no matter what,
Yeah.
before I ever asked any
Uh-huh.
questions. And
Uh-huh.
so that's just in my nature. I don't know if I would actually even listen to myself if I could have given myself that advice.
Sure.
But I think it would have saved me a lot of time had I just engaged people from the get go. Also, it sounds silly, but this has really nothing to do with the business as much. But find a former retail space that you can just slide into.
Oh yeah, that's a great piece of advice. You're like, find one that's already been built out. Save yourself some headaches.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think what ended up being is like I found some spaces, but
Mhm.
the walkability wasn't great.
Mm,
I wanted to be around other boutiques, so that
mhm.
I wasn't, in between, in a shopping center where there was a grocery store, there was maybe a Petco, there's a
Right.
McDonald's, and maybe
Right.
Starbucks and like a Domino's pizza. I'm like, that's not the vibe I'm giving off. That's like not
No.
what I want. So it was a lot harder to find a space than I thought. And so for me, I think it would have been maybe because I also didn't engage a broker. So maybe that
Mm,
was my advice to myself.
yeah.
Engage a broker.
Yeah.
Because I'd been in commercial real estate for years, I was able, no problem negotiating my lease, but it was more of finding the neighborhoods in San Diego.
Right.
That took
Right.
me probably a
Right.
little bit longer to do the research, reach out to different brokers myself directly,
Yeah.
ask if they had anything coming up, and
Yeah. Well, you landed in a great spot and it's going to be awesome. It's going to
it's
be super
fantastic.
exciting.
I cannot wait.
Yay. Tell everyone where they can find you, follow you, even come maybe
Definitely.
sneak a peek in the windows.
Yes, we're going to be located at 7606 Girard Avenue in downtown La Jolla. We're at the corner of Girard and Torrey Pines Road, directly across from California Closets. And the pavilion is, we back up to that. And then behind us is the lot. So if you're familiar with La Jolla, you'll easily be able to find us. For social media, it's lilypar_Sandy SD. And then for the website, it'll just be lilypar.com. And
Amazing.
once that gets up and running, you'll be able to shop with us online or in store.
Perfect. And we'll include all of this in the show notes. Everybody, don't forget to go check it out. Like Kendall said, on social, on the internet, in La Jolla, if you happen to be around. Thank you so much for telling us your story. This is going to be such a fun time capsule.
No, I appreciate you having me on to talk about it. And also thank you so much for all your help with branding.
Oh my
It
gosh.
really has made the difference in Lily Park.
Yay! Yay. We can't wait for everyone to see it. If you guys liked this episode, don't forget to save it, share it, send it to a friend, post on your stories. We'd love to see it. Tag us, of course. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks, Kendall.
Thanks, Michelle. Have a great one.
Bye.